All right, page 85. Let's run through these, see how we do. Again, if you're here, you're getting points for it because you'll do it if you haven't done it already. And if you're not here, then watch the video and do it. I gotta get that up. All right. It says a college newspaper wants to learn the average amount paid by college students on textbooks each semester. They conduct a random sample of 200 students at their college. The average amount paid was $560. The newspaper assumes an overall standard deviation of 150. They seek to create a 99% confidence interval. Okay. All right. So problem number one says point estimate. So PE. Let's see. What do you guys think? Oh, the average amount paid. Okay, they gave us that 560. Cool. Okay. That was our point estimate. And our critical value we need to find. And our confidence level. And our standard error of the mean. All right. So our confidence level is, they said 99%, so that's given to us. All right. So critical value. Critical value, that's going to go back to that let's see, 2.58 they come up with. All right. Where's our critical value? Oh, that's okay. So we're going to have to use, for the standard error, the standard deviation over root n, and then the critical value, they asked for margin of error. We have the margin of error for number 2. Bless you. And calculate the confidence interval. All right. Let's see. All right. How do we get the critical value? I'm not seeing it in the problem. My brain is lagging. I'm sorry. I don't think we can get the critical value right away. I think we have to do the math to it first. All right. So let's get the standard error. You're here. Oh, what's going on? All right, so let's get the standard error first. Standard error is, we have it written already, so we're going to take our standard deviation of the problem, which was standard deviation is 150, so we're going to go 150 divided by how many people did we talk about? 200 students, so root 200. So if we do that on Desmos, it's pretty easy as our calculator. So standard deviation was 150 divided by the square root of something. Square root of 200. So 10.60. Yay. 10.61. We'll just say 10.6. All right, so this is 10.6 if you work this out. And then our margin of error is going to be the margin of error is Z asterisk.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm going to the bathroom. You're right. I'm sorry. My bad.
There's a little favor doing it out there. Z times this over root n. So I need to find our Z score. Our Z score is going to be, that's what it is. Standard normal distribution. And I don't think we have to use, we don't have to use for this the 0 and 1 because they gave us the mean, which was 560, and they gave us the standard deviation, which was 150. Okay, so that's what our normal curve will look like, but then we do the period, so the graph goes away, but that's okay. And then we do the inverse CDF. And oh, what's if we have a confidence interval of 99, what is halfway to 100 if I'm at 99? 99.5, so I can do 99.5, I believe. Nope, it's 0.995. 0.995. All right, so 946. I'm gonna change this. I don't think this is gonna work that way. I think I have to do the 0 and 1. Sorry. That's more like it. Okay. Okay, so I thought I could use their mean and their standard deviation. Didn't work. Obviously the 0 and comma 1 will work. So our critical value is going to be 2.58. So once we found that, then we can start plugging in. So that was doing the inverse norm and stuff like that. And our margin of error is going to be 2.58 times this. So I can go times 2.58. That should work. So margin of error is going to be 27.37. There we go. Okay. So 27.37 once we get that. And then our margin of error is going to be the 560 plus or minus the 27.37. And so if you just do $560 minus 27.37. Clear. 560 minus 27.37. We're going to get 532.63. To 587.37. And so we are 99% confident that the average spent on textbook would be between $532.63 to $587.37. And then does this interval, for problem number 4, does this interval provide evidence that the average amount spent on textbooks by a student during the semester is greater than 550? Okay, so being our confidence interval goes between 532 and 87. If they're saying, do we have confidence that they spent more than $550? The answer is no, because my confidence interval to the left is lower than that. And again, we don't know exactly where it's fallen into, even though they gave us an estimated average. Okay, and then recalculate the confidence interval. If we were 90%, okay, we can do that on Desmo. So if they want 90%, 90% halfway to 100 is to 95. And then with that known, I can make this 1.64. So 17.4. So if I go 560 minus 17.39, and if I go 560 plus that, so if we do a confidence interval, then we're going to go from 542.61 roughly to 577.45. Explain the change in the confidence interval. The interval gets narrower, so the less confident we become, the more narrow our normal distribution, that area underneath the curve, would get. Okay, and then we could say that we are 90% confident that the average spent on textbooks is between 542 61 and 577.39. And then if the true average amount spent by college students is not within the confidence interval, then what, if anything, went wrong? Explain. So nothing went wrong. You have a small chance that you could be outside of those parameters. Okay, so if you're at 90% confident interval, you have a 10% chance that you're outside of it. If you have a 99% confidence interval, you have a 1% chance you're outside of it. So those are things that could happen. Okay, second page. All right, a 98% confidence interval to estimate the average hibernization time of grizzly bears is 148.2 to 171.3 measured in days. So if we interpret this interval, we are 98% confident that the hibernation times for these grizzly bears is between 148.2 days and 171.3 days. Find the point of estimate. So if I wanted to find the point of estimate, I'm going to take my 171.3. I'm going to add that to 148.2. And I get that answer. And if I took, I guess I should put this in parentheses so it'll work. And then if I divide by 2, because I want the average, then that takes us to 159.75 days. And then if you wanted to figure out what your margin of error would be there, basically what you can do is you take the 171.3 and subtract the 159.75. So our margin of error is 11.55, to the left or to the right. Explain what, if anything, will happen with each change. So if we decrease the confidence interval to 95%, the margin of error will decrease. So it goes from 98 to 95. So 98, we're a little bit more broad. If it's 95, or a little less broad, if it's 95, we widen the gap. If we increase the sample size, and we don't know what the sample is, but our margin of error will decrease as we increase the sample size, because the more and more you get, more and more closely to the parameter you would get. And then increase the sample mean. The sample mean is not going to change as our margin of error. Okay, it's still going to fall within that. And then last part of it says a random sample of 40 drivers in Colorado shows that they spend an average of $135 on gas each month. Gosh, this must have been 10 years ago. Assume the population standard deviation is 20 for this problem. All right. So let me clear this junk out and I can do some other stuff. All right. Normal distribution. I'm going to do 0, 1, period. And then, I forget what does it say? Inverse CDF. So if we are at 92%, what's halfway to 100? 92 to 100 is 8. So divide that by 2, you get 4, so 96, so 0.96. All right, so then if I created so we're have a plus or minus that. So if I go 135 plus the 1.75, this will give us our upper bound. So 136. And then if I go the other way, 135 minus 1.75. So it's between basically 133 and 136 that we're going with on that. And then interpret this. We're 92% confident that we'll fall between 133.25 and 136.75. And is there evidence here to counter the claim? The average Coloradan spends $140 a month on gas. So my highest bound is 136.75. So we don't, because our confidence interval is below that, there's not evidence to suggest this would take place. And then name 2 things we could study if we wanted to be more precise or narrow our confidence interval. So we could decrease the confidence level. So we could say, hey, we're 80% sure. So that brings us more narrow, and we could also increase the sample size. Cool? All right. I'm kind of looking forward. 5.9. Guys, I got to move our test. I told you it was Friday, right?
Yeah. Thursday?
No.
There's no like next Thursday?
I guess next Thursday would probably be best. I would say Wednesday. I mean, we don't have school Monday and you don't have school Tuesday. Wednesday's a shorter day, so we could review some stuff. So Thursday we could move the test to. All right. And yeah, that should help. I didn't think I'd get too much pushback from y'all. All right, let's yeah.
Because like, are we actually gonna start a new unit on Friday? Or is it about it all?
Yeah, we definitely could start on Friday. It's not bad. Okay, I'm on page 19. Page 19. All right, so page 19 says 1 mean t interval. What did I say? All right. Okay, the standard error formula for means requires the population standard deviation. In most cases, it's impossible to know this value. For example, how would researchers know the standard deviation of all cholesterol levels nationwide? Okay, theoretically, you could have a lot of data on that because anyone who goes to the doctor who has blood work done, you can say that. But it's also hard to do because children aren't necessarily tested for cholesterol level. Usually you're in your 30s, or if you're a sickly person or you're more morbidly obese, you might get it earlier, but you're not going to necessarily hit that as quickly. How would realtors know the standard deviation for all home sale prices everywhere? Well, I guess you could pull up a national database and see that, but a lot of it would be incur a lot more work. So basically, they're saying it's impossible. But fortunately, statisticians have developed a way to use sample standard deviation as an estimator of the population standard deviation. Okay, the t-distribution was created specifically to account for extra variability that comes with using sample standard deviation as an estimator of the population standard deviation. The t-distribution is shaped very similar to a normal distribution, and we're going to explore later in the course. Okay, the one mean t interval is similar in structure to the one mean z interval, but there's two key differences. The t-distribution was created so we may confidently substitute the sample standard deviation for the population standard deviation. Therefore, we'll use the t interval when we are required to use the sample standard deviation. We calculate t, the critical value, as not a t critical value. The method for doing this we'll take care of later. And the margin of error is going to be this. So the big difference, I bet you're going to see it, is using t star and then s over root n. Okay? So we are going to look at using inverse t on Desmos. And so let me find where this inverse t is going to be. So let's go, jump back to Desmos. And I hope I can get to that. So if you look on the following page, on page 20, there used to be tables you would have to look at, which deal with degrees of freedom to locate a critical value. So let's take a look at the example, and let's see if we can figure this out on Desmos. Okay, a random sample of 20 bicyclists riding along Denver trail system showed an average speed of 18 miles per hour with a standard deviation of 4, creating 99% confidence interval to estimate the average speed of the bicyclists along the Denver trail system. The point estimate is 18 miles per hour, okay, because that was given to us. That's the sample mean. The proper setup of the margin error is as follows. So let's see if we can figure this out. So in order to find the t value, I'm going to go normal CDF or normal distribution of 0, 1. And then we're going to go period. And this I'm doing without a net, my friends. I didn't investigate this. I'm sorry. I was too busy yesterday to go through it. So it's t-distribution. Ooh, t-distribution. T-distribution. Oh, man. T-distribution. Okay. Plug 20 in. Does that do anything for us? No. There's got to be a t-distribution. You know what? I got to look this up. So I'll end our lesson here. I have to look up how to do it. I know how to do it on the graphing calculator.